I'm Brittany. I'm a licensed elementary school teacher, but I'm staying home right now to homeschool my 2 kiddos and to run my business. And today we're going to talk about a less painful way to cut down on screen time. Okay, so right now, everybody is feeling the need for more screen time than usual. Even those of us who homeschool on a regular basis and are home a lot of the time are not usually home this much. Actually, something a lot of people don't realize is that homeschoolers leave the house a lot in general. We, whether it's just to the park down the street or to go grocery shopping or to go to, speech therapy, physical therapy, gymnastics, dance, you name it. We're out of the house a lot, usually. If, at least you're outside walking, riding bikes, whatever. This is really weird even for homeschool families. I'm really starting to feel it right now as well, just being home all the time. And so it's really easy to use a lot more screen time. And I want to preface this by saying, do not beat yourself up if your kiddos are having to watch Netflix or Disney Plus or, Amazon Prime more than usual, because this is a weird time. No one's ever gone through this kind of thing before on a large scale. No one has ever, at least in our lifetimes. We can't do the things that a lot of us would like to do. And yet we know that we want to give our kids the stimulation they need, the kind of learning activities they need. And it can feel so overwhelming. It's so much easier when you're trying to do housework or work on your own business, to pop them in front of the TV and say, here you go. And I will say, I've done that. I've done that more times than I, honestly wish. But we have to do something. And it's really hard. It's just like breaking any habit. It's really hard to go off cold turkey. And frankly, it may not be the best thing for your family to say, okay, no more TV. I will say I do not let my kids, for the most part, use tablets. I think that, and again, this is something you have to decide for your family, but the research I've seen just states that kids don't need to be on tablets yet, for the most part. I know there are always exceptions, kiddos with special needs who use tablets to communicate, or kiddos who perseverate and really need that screen time, that's their reward, or, it's a parenting thing, it's your family. We don't use tablets in our family for anything except the kids have Kindles. They each have a Kindle Fire, and they're allowed to use it when we travel. So like when we're on the airplane and they can't go anywhere for 5 hours, yes, you can have your Kindle. Or if we're driving in the, for a long car ride, and we'll put it on the back of the thing and they can watch TV, but they're not really allowed to play on it. They don't interact on it. The closest they've gotten is I have an iPad. I have an iPad for work, and every once in a while I'll let my daughter use the Apple Pencil to draw, but that's pretty much limited to maybe church every now and then. And so we want to find things for our kids to do without the screen all the time, whether that's for your family, ours is TV, whether that's computer, TV, video games, phones, tablets, you name it. Each family has something that works for them. But if you're trying to cut down on the amount of screen time that your kiddos are using, but you don't know really what to do to replace it, I will say this goes along with a lot of just advice when it comes to breaking habits. For example, they talk about if you're hungry, you don't stop eating, you go eat something healthy. If you're really hungry, go get carrot sticks out of the fridge instead of candy, or an apple instead of chips. Or if you're trying to, exercise more, starting small and building up from there. It's about adding, not taking away. And that's kind of the thought behind this today, is adding and not taking away. The question is, what do you add? And again, this will depend on what your family has time for, what you have space for, and what you have in your house. But we're going to talk about a free printable that I am going to have for those people who are signed up on my website. And I'm going to upload that today. And this is called Productive Activities. And so, my daughter's handwriting practice sheet. Whoops, I got printed on the back. That won't be for you. That's just something I was working on, that apparently I used both sides of the paper. So my whole idea here is having easy, accessible activities for your kids that works for your family that you can pull off. And the whole idea isn't having every day the same, because honestly that drives me nuts. I love being at home in general. I love getting chores done. I love feeling productive, but I'm not the kind of person who can do the same thing every single day and feel happy about it. And kids are the same way. They get bored of the same thing every day. I mean, if we think we're bored of, sitting around the house, so we're there. So the idea with this is to come up with chunks of time and activities for those chunks of time that are easy. They might be in 15-minute slots. They may be in 10-minute slots. They may be in 5-minute slots. Things that you can do with your kids that don't last a really long time, that are simple and easy and not hopefully too stressful. This will be dependent completely on you and your needs, that you can use to break up time without having to pull the screen out all the time. So, we're going to start with, I've created this printable. We have ELA, which is English Language Arts. So that would be anything from reading, handwriting, spelling practice, phonics practice, letter practice, you name it, ELA. Math, science, faith, life skills, and I have a blank one. And so we're gonna sit down and make it a sample sheet of ideas that you could use and help fill your day, so that it doesn't feel like everything's the same, and it feels like you have choices, and it doesn't feel like you're taking up huge blocks of time either. But the thing that I've noticed is the more that I put into the time that I spend with my kids, because I run my own business. I have actually 2 platforms for my business. So that on top of running a house, on top of my kids, they have online stuff that they work with, or they have like lessons online that they actually work one-on-one with a professional. So we're doing that kind of thing in the morning. So on top of all that, it actually takes up more time than you think to transition from one activity to another. And that's something I laugh about when people say, well, children are getting, in kindergarten, 8 hours of education. No, they're not. I've worked in kindergarten classes. Do you know how much time is taken up with sitting down and making sure everyone's in their chairs and pulling out crayons and passing out papers and picking the papers up and transitioning, and so has to go to the bathroom. Everybody needs to go to the bathroom. Lining up for lunch, washing our hands. So it's a lot of the day in school is not taken up with education. It's taken up with transitions. And the good news in this case is transitions will actually take up time for you. And you wouldn't usually think that's a good thing. But again, if you're trying to pull away from the screen time a little and do a few more productive things, it makes it less painful. Okay, so let's start with ELA. So I'm going to write down, we'll come up with, 5 possibilities. Now I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I'm going to write down a few of each for them. If you have older kids, you're going to have to, come up with things that would work for them. Whether that's, if you have an educational game that they like to play on the computer, or reading, chunks of reading time, whether maybe you have them reading certain nonfiction, maybe you have them reading fiction, maybe you have, spelling practice. And what you can do is, as the kids get older, you can even make one of these for each of them, and you can say, okay, I want you to pick 3 things off this list today, and you're going to do them. And again, don't make them too long, because you don't want to tire kids out by having them at a desk all day. The idea is to give them variety while still giving them activities that are good for them. So for my kiddos, things that I might write down are, let's see, my son loves his alphabet puzzles. So I'm going to write ABC puzzle. ABC puzzle. Wow, I can't even talk today. So ABC puzzle. So now when my son does that, sometimes I let him play with it on his own, but I always try to go over at some point and we look at the letters. Now he is not old enough to match all of his alphabet letters from the song to the actual written letters. So what we're doing is we're starting with his name. He now knows that his first initial is K, and so he loves it. He calls it his letter. We call it the his letter. That's your letter. And he gets so excited. He thinks that's his name now. What we're going to slowly do is introduce, now he has a nickname, and I've played around with the idea of spelling his nickname first because it's much shorter than his real name, but I think we're going to stick with his full name. He'll learn both later, and by then he probably won't even want his nickname anymore, which will make mommy sad. But ABC puzzle, you don't need to spend a long time on the ABC puzzle. That literally can take 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how wiggly my child is. We're not going to spend an hour on that. We're not going to spend half an hour. We won't even spend 15 or 10 minutes. We will spend maybe 5 minutes. on the ABC puzzle. Another thing is alphabet magnets. Let's see, I can't spell today either. So now both my kids can do this. We have some of those alphabet magnets, and it works on the fridge. We have also an old dollar store cookie sheet that we use. With my daughter, what I can do is I can have her sit down, and she's learning to decode CVC, consonant, vowel, consonant words. Those are words like dog, cat, box, very simple words. I'll short vowel right now. So I can have her sit down and work on the words we've been focusing on. So we've been going through, hop on pop. Here we go. We've been going through this book. We were doing Bob books. We're taking just a little break because they were getting kind of hard really fast for her level, not for all kids, but she's young. I've started her young, so we decided to take just a little break. We'll go back to them, but we're going to hop on pop. She's terrific at memorizing. So she can read some of the book, some of the words she can decode on her own. Other ones, like up and pup, she can totally decode those. Pup is up. She can decode all of that. House she cannot decode, but she's very good at memorizing. So we're doing a kind of combination of phonics and sight words, which I will be talking about later. You need both. Don't let anyone tell you you need only one. You need both. But what I could do for her is I could have her sit down and I can give her a written list. I can even take a whiteboard and write in big letters, up. And I can have her make the words with the magnets. With my son, he just likes to sit there and play with them, and honestly, that's a good thing. He loves to stick them on and off. Now, if you have a kiddo who's going to eat things, beware. But he loves them, and he'll go through and he'll find K, and he gets super excited. And so I might sit down with him for just a few minutes again, and we'll find K, and I might help him spell out his whole name. Do I expect him to memorize it? No, but he's being exposed, and the brain does start to remember those things. So alphabet magnets, I can do that with both. With another ELA one, my daughter is working on her penmanship, and I have a website I will be sharing with you later on. A great website to create your own penmanship sheets. Actually, I created this one using that. It's awesome. I love it. But another story, another day. Penmanship. My son isn't doing penmanship. Now, something you can do is, again, I told you we're working on the letter K. He desperately wants to use the whiteboard because Sissy gets to use the whiteboard. So I have been making his letter, and I will help him trace it. Well, then he wants to do it himself. And he will draw something that looks like this. Is that K? No, but it's the beginnings of K. This is how children start to write. This is how they begin to build that muscle memory in their hands. When I do this, the pen does this. So believe it or not, this is a completely productive thing to do. Does it look productive? No. Is he writing? Not yet, but this is the beginning stage. So you can technically do penmanship practice. I could technically do penmanship practice with both of them. Okay, let's see. What's another one? Looking. Okay, foam. Okay, so I got some foam kit, and I've posted that link before, and I can post it again. It's where the kiddos make, now this one came with number cards. You can create your own letter cards. Let's see. I'm gonna write down another one while I'm thinking about it. So what they do is they make, an A out of foam, a B out of foam. Again, make sure that you're not giving them too much, because some of this is independent, some of it's not. So whatever you pick, make sure it's bite-sized chunks. This kind of stuff is hard because, again, we've never gone through this kind of thing before, and our kids are stressed also. We may not think so, but a lot of times they pick up on our stress, and so it's important that we're giving them things that they're learning, but they're also going to be mostly successful at, so not overdoing it. Flashcards. If you use letter flashcards with your child, that's a great thing. I use letter flashcard. They're word ones, but I've talked about that before in the how to repurpose school supplies. I use ones to practice my son's speech with him. So we'll pull out his vocab cards, and he's not reading it, he's just practicing saying words. So let's see, so flashcards. So I just came up with 5. I'll throw a 6th down. I'll say reading, read aloud time. So I am reading Little House on the Prairie right now with my daughter, which she absolutely loves. My son, he wants to see the pictures and then he could care less. But read aloud is always great. Even just taking 5 minutes and sitting down saying, come on guys, we're going to read a book. Great way. Your child will always benefit from time. So we just came up with 6 activities. Now, you can always add more. This is just something to begin with. And if 6 is too much, find 3 things and just rotate them throughout the week. Okay, so let's sit down and let's do math. So I'm going to do phone numbers because I had that out earlier. Again, switch up your activities as you go. Phone numbers, that's one because we did foam letters earlier. Letter or number puzzle. My son loves his number puzzle, and today we were practicing addition and subtraction basics. I'm not telling him minus. I'm not telling him you're subtracting. I would put down 3 shapes and I'd say, pretend these are candy. You got 3 pieces of candy. Now what if you got hungry and you ate one and you took it away? And he loves taking away. Oh, how many are left? And he'll count 1, 2. And I'll say, you ate another one, take it away. And so that was what we practiced. My daughter is actually working on addition and subtraction number sentences. So let's see, number line. So number line practice. Let's see, verbal, addition and subtraction. And the way you would do this is you wouldn't use paper, and you can totally do this in the car. You can say, hey, pretend grandma gave you $4 and you went and you found a toy and you spent 2 of them. How many dollars would you have left? And so in finger counting, completely acceptable, especially when they're younger. Let them finger count. Don't listen to people who say it's not good for them to finger count. It is. These are just take along manipulatives wherever you go. So if you're in the car, you can hold up while you're driving with one hand, say, okay, we had 4, we took away 1, 2, how many are left? Excuse my fingers that don't stand up well, but so that kind of thing. Again, perfectly acceptable. Let's see. We have my son calls it the M&M book. I got it recently. Hold on. I will tell you, it was a humdinger of a job to find this book because it's no longer in print. They have a new one. M&M counting book. They love this. And we keep M&Ms. Those are like one of their favorite candies because they're small. We can give them 5 and they think they've got a ton. My son does, not my daughter. She knows better now. This is such a fun book. So I bought this used on, I think, abebooks.com, and I'll put that link in the description below. But yeah, we do the M&M book, and that's fun because we'll do it for dessert after lunch. We'll sit there and do it for dessert, and my kids both love it. And I skip the harder parts and we do the other parts, but they love getting to eat them. And my son is pretty good at being patient about counting out the colors. Okay, so again, we've just come up with 5 math activities. You can always add more. I'm just pulling things off the top of my head, things we're doing right now. Science. Okay, science is, you don't need a science curriculum when they're little. You just don't. Science. So, we're doing reptiles right now. So I'm going to say reptile book. Sit down and read a reptile book. I'm going to cheat here and say YouTube channel. Now, yes, this is screen time, but it is more productive screen time. And again, I'm not saying that anyone should stop using screens. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying if we want, we can use this time so your kid can sit there and watch Captain Underpants like my daughter wants to do. She loves Captain. Or they can be watching a documentary. YouTube, screen everything first, of course. But, go find a really good Netflix documentary, Disney Plus, or just the 5-minute YouTube kid videos. We don't use YouTube Kid, just a kid video on YouTube that I've watched with them and know is okay. I will find one maybe on snakes and we'll watch that. And again, it's screen time, but it's more productive screen time. Let's see, reptile book, YouTube video, a bug hunt. Say you're studying bugs and you go for a bug hunt in the backyard. Plant a flower. We went to an outdoor nursery this weekend and picked up some flowers. I wore my mask, we had washed our hands and everything, but we picked up some flowers and we're going to be planting. That's science. Yes, sweetheart.
Can I come downstairs?
Not right now, I'm working, baby.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll tell you when you can, okay? Mama's making a video.
Can you text me?
Not right now. Not while I'm making the video. Maybe after, okay? Please go back upstairs. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, so let's see. You can do science in the kitchen. We had a science lesson last night while I was cooking dinner. We talked about the states of matter. And that might sound really high level for a 5-year-old, but it's not really. Again, they're not trying to master these things, you're exposing them. We sat there and I had put something frozen in a pan, and there was water on the bottom of the pan, and then steam was rising. And so we talked about how everything has 3 different states. We have solids, liquids, and gases. And we talked about how the steam is the gas, and it's rising up in the air, and the atoms inside are bumping around. And then how liquid, they're not bumping quite as hard, but they don't have a shape. And how when it's in a frozen state, they can't go anywhere. They're stuck in a shape. So we talked about states of matter. Science lesson during dinner. Bingo. Okay, we just came up with 5 things for science. I picked faith. You may not do these things, but our family tries to do a hymn a week, memorize the first line of a hymn per week. My 2-year-old sits there and listens and may or may not pay attention. But we'll do hymn practice, and we'll sing through the hymn. We'll talk about the hymn. We'll, do it maybe 3 times. We do our catechism questions. And I will be doing a video on that later. I don't have the book with me. I think it's upstairs. Yeah. Let's see, catechism questions, and we're going through the 10 Commandments. So that's our Bible memory right now. 10 Commandments / Bible memory. And then the kids get a Bible story each day. That's 4 things, and then maybe you can sit down and you have maybe a little devotion, or I don't know, if you listen to a podcast, you can pause it and talk about what you've been listening to. I like the R.C. Sproul's the Ligonier podcasts. Let's see, or they have all sorts of kids podcasts out now, so you could go through those kind of things. Again, it's just up to your family. It's things that you're going to pick. And let's see. Okay, now I have on here, last one, life skills. This is an area that gets overlooked so often. I was listening to a podcast recently, and the woman who does it, she owns like a multi-million-dollar business, and she's very successful and has done a great job building her business. She hires out her work, which again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. A lot of people need help around the house, but it struck me because she was very proud of the fact that her kids don't know how to do dishes. This concerns me because her kids, she might be a multi-million-dollar business owner. Her children are not. And one day they will move out, and one day they will probably have a roommate who's ticked at them because they don't know how to do their own dishes, and they probably will not have enough money to hire a dish person in college. There are just things our kids need to learn to do. My daughter helps with unloading the dishwasher. So I'm going to put dishwasher here. She does the silverware. She can't reach the plates and stuff, but she can do the silverware. Cooking. My daughter is learning to cook right now. I know I'm not turning her loose with the stove, but I taught her to chop strawberries last week with a butter knife. She mixed and measured most of our cornbread last week with help. I'm talking her through things. She can make her own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches now. She likes to make them for her and her brother. So dishwasher, cooking, kids can do so much more than we give them credit for. They really can. They're able to do so many things. Okay, what's another one? Let's see, mopping. My daughter likes to mop. She's, I still have to help, but she likes to try. And the thing is, kids want to try these things. We need to let them. Now, I didn't let her today because we've got boxes against the wall and I didn't want them to get wet and soggy. But when your kids want to try something, let them learn. That was really the whole idea of the family business back, hundreds of years ago, when the kids would learn the parents' trade. And they would be experts by the time they were adults because they grew up doing it. Our kids, we should not teach them to be helpless. We need to teach them to be self-sufficient, to be productive members of society. And this all starts when they're little. I'm teaching my daughter to do the laundry. Now, is she doing the laundry herself? No, I'm teaching her. I showed her the other day how to run the washing machine. I will be showing her a lot more as I do it. You know, she's learning to pair socks. She knows how to fold basic dishcloths and shorts. Let's see, picking up. Kids need to have chores, even when they're little. With my son, he doesn't have quite set chores the way my daughter has, but like we have pickup times during the day, and he's very capable of cleaning up. He sits there and sings the Barney cleanup song to himself. Let's see, you know, feeding the animals. So if you have a dog, teach your kid to feed them. My daughter knows what a half means, which is a fraction, because she gives the dog a half cup of food, you know, for lunch. Watering plants. Kids are so capable, and mom and dad don't need to be the only ones sitting there doing chores during this time. Kids can learn too, and they actually like it. Kids like feeling that they have power over something, that they're able to do things. So we've just come up with a ton of activities. Now I almost added another column here for fun, but I thought I'd leave that blank so anyone who wants to can add their own section. Heck, you can scratch them all out and add your own if you want. But you know, if you wanted to make this into fun, you could, you know, write fun up here and then list things you can do with your kids. Board games, playing pollies, blocks, trains, whatever your kids like to do. Maybe set aside chunks of 5 minutes at a time that you can sit down and play with them throughout the day. And you know, it's kids are going to love that. They're going to dig that so much. My daughter always wants me to play with her, and it's always a tug of war of mommy has a gazillion things to do and I do need to sit down and play with her. But anyways, so this is going to be available on my website for people, or through email for people who sign up for my email. So let's see, you know, we've just come up with a bunch of things, and the idea is not to overwhelm yourself by doing it all at once. You pick, you say, okay, I'm going to do these activities today. I'm going to do this one, and then I feel like this one, and then I feel like this one. And you'll know that no matter how much time it seems like your kids have gotten screen time, you know that they've gotten productive, beneficial activities during the day too. And again, it's not subtracting so much as it is replacing. You know, you're adding things. There's not as much time for TV if you're doing 1 or 2 things from this entire list. And as you go, you can just slowly start to add. So it doesn't feel like you yanked your kids out of what they knew and were comfortable with all at once. You're just slowly making a new normal. I will provide links for the items that I can. Again, this is hard to get. I had looked at multiple sellers before I found one of those. I will do my best to post links. Like and subscribe if this is helpful, because I will be putting more free content out soon. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter at brittanyperl.com, that's Perl, and you'll get access to free downloadable pages like this. Keep checking in. Like I said, subscribe, that way you know, because I'm going to be doing more videos, lots more videos in the future. I hope you're doing well. Ask questions if you want. If you have ideas, post them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And you can contact me at brittany.perl.teach@gmail.com. All right, you have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep counting on.